All right, hello again. Now for two people. So, previous video we talked about doing some of the operation with polynomials. We talked about just adding, subtracting, and multiplying. Obviously, the next logical thing is to talk about how to divide polynomials. So we're going to do some long division with polynomials today. And it's easier than you think it is. And in a way, you already know how to do it. So if you go back to like your second and third grade selves and how you just divided numbers, right? So if we had something like 3 divided into 756, how did you do that? Well, you said 3 goes into 7 2 times, because 2 times 3 is 6. You subtracted the 6. You've got the 1, then you brought the 5 straight down. Same thing. 3 goes into 15 5 times. And that went into it evenly because you subtracted, they canceled out. You brought the 6 down, 3 goes into 6 2 times, and that was your answer. You're done, right? So that meant 3 times 252 was 756. We're going to do polynomial division the exact same way. Okay, so we're going to put the x plus 1 out here, and then we're going to put what we're dividing into inside that same division house. Okay, so all we got to do now is just kind of do that same thing. Now, the trick on this, don't worry about the other terms. All we're going to focus on is the first term and the first term. Everything else is going to kind of come along for the ride. So ask yourself the question, x, the thing outside, times what would give me x to the third? And in this case, that would be x squared. Okay, so we always want that thing to match up because we want that to cancel out. That's kind of the trick on polynomial division. So once we know we have that matched up, whatever we put out on the outside, on the top here, we also want to multiply by whatever else is on the outside. So in this case, it's plus 1. So we're going to add, so x squared times 1 is plus x squared. And just like you did back in the day, we're going to subtract that. And this is where you got to be really careful as far as minding your signs and stuff like that. So that minus sign is going to distribute. So it's going to be a minus x to the third and a minus x squared. And then we can kind of go from there. So those first guys are going to cancel out. Again, that's always going to happen. 2x squared minus x squared is 1x squared. And then we can bring down these other terms. And you can bring them down one at a time or bring them everything down and just kind of go one by one. Either way, it's kind of your choice. Now we just repeat the process, right? So x times what gives me x squared? That'd be a plus x. So we know that's going to be an x squared. We want that to match up. And then x times 1 plus x. And again, we're always subtracting on the outside. So it's going to change that to a minus. That's going to change that to a minus. So those first things are going to cancel out, like they always will. And then again, watch your signs. Negative x minus x is minus 2x. We can bring the minus 2 all the way down. And one last go around, x times what gives you negative 2x. So that's just multiplying by negative 2. We know that matches up. Take negative 2 times 1. And then when you subtract this, that becomes a positive, that becomes a positive. So you have a remainder of 0. Now that will not always happen, but on the first few examples we're going to do in today's video, we're going to just get 0 remainders. So that means x plus 1 is a factor, right? We could say that x plus 1 times x squared plus x minus 2 is equal to this, since it's 0 remainder. We could also say that since x plus 1 is a factor, we could say that x equals negative 1 is a 0, because just like we did back in quadratics. Okay? So that's really the process. There's a couple little wrinkles. I'm going to do a second video tomorrow with some other examples. But that's really the process that you go through. Okay? Let's go and look at example 2. So again, we put the 4x plus 1 on the outside, and then everything on the inside. It's 26x squared. And again, you just ask yourself 4x, first term and first term. 4x times what gives you 4x to the third? I'm sorry, 8x to the third. So we have to multiply the 4 times 2, and we would need 2x's. Oops, that's a 2x squared. Sorry about that. So we know that's going to match up to 8x to the third. And then whatever else is here, multiply that same thing by everything on the outside. So 2x squared times 1. And again, we're going to change the signs of all those guys. So that's a minus, that's a minus. Cancels out. Negative 26 minus 2 is minus 28. Bring down the x. 4x times what would give me negative 28x squared? That'd be a negative 7x. And again, subtract, watch your signs. 1x plus 7x would be 8x. Bring the 2 down. 4x times what would give me 8x? That'd be just a plus 2. And once again, we see that we have a zero remainder. So those are, so the 4x plus 1 is a factor, and we're good to go there. Works the same way, even if you have more than 2 terms, like if you have a quadratic term on the outside, it still works the same way. So we're still going to put that divisor on the outside. And you look at the first term. So 4 times 3 gives me 12, and I need one more x. So there'd be 3x up top here. And then multiply by everything. So 3x times 1x, 3x times negative 1. Change all the signs. That's a minus, that's a minus, that's a plus. That goes away. And we have negative 21. Again, watch your signs. Negative 5 plus 3. That's a 21. Just wrote 2, 21x. So, good heavens, 20. Sorry about that. It's a Monday. So negative 17 minus 3 is negative 20. So that's a 20, 2, 0. So 4x squared times what would give me negative 20, x squared, that's 5, negative 5. So negative 20x squared minus 5x plus 5. And you can see here when we subtract everything, everything will cancel out, leaving me with, again, another remainder of 0. So we have that. Okay, and that's our answer. Our answer would be 3x minus 5 when we did that polynomial division. So I'm going to ask you to pause the video real fast, and I've got one more example. Go ahead and pause the video, see if you can do this one by yourself. And then we'll go through the answer in just a second. All right, so here we go. 2x squared minus 3x plus 1. And 6x to the 4th minus x to the 3 plus 5x squared. First term. That's a 3. I need a 3x squared on top. Jeez. 6x to the 4 minus 9x3 should be a plus 1 out there. Plus 3x squared. First guys cancel. Golly Moses. So that's going to be a minus, that's going to be a plus, and that's going to be a minus. So that's going to be an 8x to the third plus 2x squared. And again, bring the 17x down. 2x squared times what will give me 8x to the third? So that's 4x. So that's going to be a minus, that'll be a plus, and that'll be a plus, or minus rather. Cancels out. That's a 14. That's a minus 21. And we're going to bring the plus 7 all the way down. And that's going to be a 7. 2x squared times 7 gives me 14x squared. And once again, you do see that we have a 0 remainder, because when we subtract everything, everything cancels out. And there we have it. So I am going to, in class, I'm going to go through a couple more examples. I don't want this video to run too long. That is the process, though, of polynomial division. I'll do a second video tomorrow showing you just a couple of things to be mindful of that happen sometimes. And we'll talk about some how to write the final answer when there is a remainder, and then kind of go on to that next step. If you have questions, as always, come into tutoring. Send a message, and until next time, stay safe.